Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all those in between. Welcome to this episode 3. I cannot believe it. Things are taking off quite lively of my wellbeing podcast, Wellbeing with Seamus. I'm delighted to introduce to you today, and I'm delighted she's agreed to come on my podcast today. A wonderful, amazing human being who has inspired, driven, raised awareness, written about, wrote beautiful poetry about the concept of and the reality of the fact that we all matter and we matter always. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to Suzanne Baines, or as I like to term her, my guardian angel, my earthly angel, who has just I'm going to let her tell her own story, right? So you're very welcome, Susie, to Wellbeing with Seamus. Susie, for those, unfortunately, at the moment who don't know you, tell me who and tell them who you are, Susie. Who are you?
Well, I'm Susie. I'm Susie Baines, and at role-wise, I suppose I'm a mum, a wife, a friend, a colleague, a peer, and but yeah, ultimately, I'm just Susie. I'm a woman who cares deeply about people. I love people. I've always worked with people in some capacity, and just want people to know that they matter, Seamus. Unfortunately, I've met so many people that feel they don't matter and that their voices aren't being heard or what they have to say doesn't matter, and that can never be okay. So, yeah, I'm like, I kind of describe myself as a wee woman in Glasgow, well, Renfrewshire, just honestly trying to leave the world a bit kinder than I
Mm.
found it.
Okay, okay. That, that's a good start for 10. Um,
Mhm.
I suppose my next question would be, Susie, where did it all start for you? Where did your mission and vision and purpose all start for you? How did Susie become more than a mum, a wife, a
Mhm.
sister, and become, as I know you to be, this great advocate, this great advocate for pro-positive mental health, for
Yeah.
pro-positive, which telling people that, they matter always. And I'm proud to wear your emblem today because, um, we all matter.
We
But,
do.
but where did that start for you, Susie?
I think, in all honesty, Seamus, it's always been there from kind of sticking up for myself as a
Mm,
child for whatever degree I thought I could, sticking up for friends, going into nursing, 30 odd years ago, and getting frustrated when doctors were talking about patients as though rather than talking to the patients,
yeah.
standing at the end of the bed because that's the way they did it all those years ago. And I felt I was always advocating for people's voices in some way. And in all honesty, I probably felt I lost my own throughout life. And then when I found it, see, teachers would disagree here, Seamus, because I used to get lines for talking in class. So I kind of talked, but maybe not. Maybe lost my voice in some ways, and but particularly, I would say maybe about 10 years ago, when I had experienced mental health stigma and discrimination in the workplace. I was a social worker at the time, and I just came to realise that, it's okay to not be okay and it's okay to not understand something, but it is absolutely never okay to stigmatise and discriminate through a misunderstanding.
Mhm.
And again, feeling that I didn't matter, feeling that my voice wasn't heard, having been a social worker as well, working in families where children felt their voices weren't heard, so did parents. So many people just feeling, I don't matter. And I'm kind of trying, I know it's just words for them at the moment because they didn't always feel it. They could hear it, but maybe not feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, but you absolutely matter. You were born enough. You've always mattered. It's just when society's come in, experiences have happened, we've lost ourselves along the way.
Yeah.
So I feel it kind of, it's almost been there most of my life. I've been this kind of wee person, little Sue, just trying to work her way through. But You Matter always was more when I was going through my own process of, people use the word recovery. I would say rediscovery and healing more.
Yeah.
Because I was rediscovering aspects of myself that I lost, because it was trauma recovery from lots, childhood trauma, and subsequent stuff that happened in life. I had to really reevaluate things, and I kind of created You Matter always just to remind people that they matter. And so it kind of started off as just posting things every day, and because I wanted to reach the people who feel that way. And it's kind of grown from there, to be honest.
Yeah. And and I'm aware of your work, and I'm aware of what you do, and I'm a proud ambassador of your work, and fly the
Mm-hmm.
flag for you wherever I possibly can,
I know, yeah.
and you recognize that, and I think your message that you give to people is quite simple, but it's quite powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And if people really take it on board, it can change people, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. I would argue that we can overcomplicate things, and
Yeah.
there's, from somebody that studied later in life, like I graduated at 41 with a first class
Wow.
honours degree,
Wow.
because I went back in to change my career, with just different hurdles in life. And so there is all the theories, but it's Carl Jung that says, you can know all the theories, you can master all the techniques, but ultimately we're just a person helping another person.
Yeah.
And actually, if we look at kindness, empathy, compassion, these human skills, these human needs, they're not, all singing, all dancing, but they're the root of the heart, and they matter deeply, and we don't give it enough, I believe anyway. We just don't give them enough credit.
Yeah.
If we were a lot kinder to each other with our time, with our words, I think we would shift the world in the right direction much, much quicker.
Absolutely. How have you seen that currently play out in your own life? And I know you work with a number of groups locally, and you've been a real supporter of those
Yeah.
groups, but I also know you write extensively, you post extensively, but you
Mhm.
also create beautiful, beautiful, beautiful poetry
Yeah.
around that subject matter. So
Mhm.
how Susie, have you seen that in practice? What effect has it had on people, and what effect does it have on people when they really truly listen to the words that you matter always?
Yeah. Seamus, I'm fortunate in some ways. I don't always post about it because it's private people's messages, just
Mm.
Susie, you're the only person that's actually listened. I can't, we things at the stalls are things that I send out, or, the groups that I hold space for. We're about getting things off your chest, but there's always a well-being focus. So it might be tools for wellness, tools, just wee bits of kindness. The courses I run, the All That You Are course, it's a course of kindness. And we need strategies, and we need tools, and realistic ones, rather than somebody just saying, this is what you do. Here's the tools to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Um, and you can see it. Well, I feel that I can see it and feel it, not just from the words that people say and the people at the groups and the feedback generally, is that I matter.
Yeah.
Susie, I've actually never heard those words. And I feel it now. And for some, some groups have been running for years. And for some, it's been that process, Seamus, and it's been that holding space. You know, I can't empower MD. Empowerment resides in the helper. Empowerment resides in the person, not the helper.
Yeah.
I can't empower anybody, but what I can do is hold space and bring tools and kindness and a helping hand, a warm smile, a hug if people like hugs. The stuff that helps grow. It's a nurture. I would say if I was ever going to be a teacher, I would have been a nurture teacher.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
I would have loved to been in your class.
Yeah. Do you know, Seamus, there was an incident recently, and it was just at a wellbeing event in the park. I volunteer with a number of organisations, and this one was RASA, the Renfrewshire Anti-Stigma Alliance. And I had two trees. I love trees, and I always have trees of hope and trees of gratitude and different things. And this year it was a tree of gratitude, and
I like that.
This little lad came along, and it was wee bands with different messages and a wee sweetie and a affirmation. And he came with his mum, and he was like, I was looking for the kind lady. I came last year and you gave me, I had worry trees last year, so share your worry and take a wee worry pebble with positive words on them. And she said he holds it every day. He's 12 and he holds it every day. And the wee cards you gave them, he keeps them by his bed, and he wanted to come and meet you again. And I had a hug and gave him the wee band and had a chat and asked his mum if I could make a box for him with more pebbles and with different sayings, a wee t-shirt and just different things. And honestly, Seamus, you would have thought, see, when I went to drop it off, you would have thought that you had given somebody a winning lottery ticket.
Yeah.
And that reminded me. And so I was saying to him, I says, listen, I hope you know that you've taught me and you've reminded me why I started, because I sometimes forget too. Yeah. And I doubt myself, and, you know, I need to use all my wee tools. And I says, but you have had such a profound impact on me and my husband. I says, we were talking about you, about all love on the way home. And it's a two-way thing, Seamus. It's that I don't see the ripples that get created. I don't evidence it. I'll never know, but I know that it matters because people matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know?
Absolutely.
So that was just one example because it was so recent. And because people at the group say, do you know, or on the courses, the thing that keeps coming up is just, you took the time to speak to me. I've messaged your page and I was in distress. And because I'm suicide prevention trained, then I'm like, where are you? Are you safe for now? Okay, you know, in some instances, it's been calling the police, working with the police, going to meet people, sitting in hospital waiting rooms all night. Lots of different things. But it's just been reminding people that they matter.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So it's not one. Your matter always has never been one thing. It's all the little things.
Yeah. And it's the small little things that we do. It's the smile, it's the gesture, it's the hug. It's even as simple as saying hello to somebody and meaning it can change somebody's perception there and then.
100%. And you and I know we speak about this, you know, as I was saying today at the radio station this morning, it was gratitude.
Yeah.
It was all about gratitude. And that the smallest thing, a smile is infectious. Yeah. Laughter is infectious. Kindness is infectious. And we talk about all the other infectious stuff, but actually all the good stuff, the ripples, that's suicide prevention.
Absolutely. And that stuff is free. That stuff costs absolutely nothing at all. Nothing at all except our time and being truly present to somebody.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, Seamus, that if, you know, I said at the beginning, if all I can ever do, and it is a kind of mission, It's a purpose, it's a driver, along with obviously so many other things. But I just, I, I've experienced unkind people and unkindness, and it's not nice. And
No.
do you know, there's no need for it. And if, as I said, if we can just create more kindness, I'm not saying it's as simple as that. Obviously, there's funding, there's money, there's supports, there's services, there's all of that. But ultimately, if one heart can connect with another,
Yeah.
that's how I sign my. Most people will be like, what's all the love hearts about? There was a woman in Texas, Carrie, beautiful woman, follows the page a few years ago, and she signed off with three hearts. And I said, Carrie, can I ask what the three hearts are? So she said, one's my heart, one's yours, and one's the connection of both of us.
Wow.
And I said, I absolutely love that. And of course, Susie Stella wrote a poem about it. And said to her, can I, is it okay if I make up three hearts of my own? And a number of years ago, we had it on the page. I says, look, guys, we're going to make a flag of fortitude and kindness. And what three hearts would you sign this off with? And we had all these amazing different colours, types, and it was just connection. It was connection. And so I sign off everything because the You Matter Always colours are purple and gold, because the gold's about the person coming first. But it's a yellow love heart, which is lovely, but it's not gold. So I sign off three purple love hearts now.
Yeah.
Every post nearly, or sometimes I do the wee sort of prayer, the wee thank you, the wee gratitude hands, but generally it's three purple hearts because it's about connection.
Absolutely. And and your posts are wonderful. And I know I'm a big advocate of LinkedIn, and I'm on LinkedIn, on a daily basis, and to see your posts coming up on a daily basis, just again, those little reminders that, irrespective of what's happening in your day, that you matter always, are very powerful statements, Susan.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes when I read your posts, it literally just, you know, you just, you are made to pause, you are made to read, you are made to reflect, you know, and in so doing, certainly for me, and I can only speak about my own situation, but certainly for me, I'm changed after I read your poems. I'm changed a little bit after I read your posts, and a little part of me goes, yeah, I do matter always, actually. If I'm having a rubbish day or an awful day or a good day or a bad day and things are going well or things are going badly, that doesn't change one iota from the fact that I actually matter always. And that doesn't have to be earned, that doesn't have to be gained. You can't buy that, you can't rent that, you can't, get a mortgage on it. It's there. And the very fact, like you say, that we live, we breathe, and we come into this world, we were born with that
Yeah.
DNA, right? We were born with the YMA DNA.
Yeah, yeah. And Seamus, I mean, we all forget, I think,
Yeah.
I'm at this point in time, perimenopause is a whole new train that's come come into the station. And a lot of wobbles, a lot of things that are resurfaced and that I'm trying, and like that, calling on my tribe, leaning into different people to, if I'm not managing to regulate myself, or if I'm, feeling like I'm going down a wee slope, then I'm like, you know, can we hug it out? Can I get a hug? Or can I talk to you about this? Or, speaking to different people, because it's not that losing my worth. It's just that sometimes this world can be quite harsh.
Yeah, and tough.
Yeah, and quite competitive and all those sort of things that generally don't really sit well with me, with who I am. And rather than toughening up for this world, which I'm not a pretty strong woman,
You are.
a courageous woman, I would say.
You are.
I'm just trying to soften it. I don't see why we have to toughen up for this world all the time. Can we not try and soften it a bit? because there's so much goodness out there. There really is, but we don't hear about it enough and we don't celebrate it enough. And as you say, Seamus, we are born enough. And, from somebody that worked, with families, with babies, having to go in, child protection, different things. These little people still matter. They came into here enough. It just, but growing up, they might have different experiences because it's the outward stuff. A lot of what I do and the courses and that are a self-worth and inwards out approach.
Mm-hmm.
Suicide prevention for me is inwards out.
Yeah.
If we can help nurture our hearts, minds, and souls a bit more, to value ourselves more, to value ourselves enough to hold on, to reach out, that sort of thing. But because we're arguably in a society that's self-esteem, when I reach that goal weight, when I meet my perfect partner, when I get the best salary, that's all external stuff. If that all comes tumbling down and your internal part's not there, that self-worth, that rooted stuff, that's when things go wrong.
Yeah,
but we focus on the self-esteem, we invest in the self-esteem, but the self-development, self-worth stuff, we're still not getting right, I would say.
I know, absolutely. And I know in recent conversations with me, every time I think we meet and sit and have a cup of coffee and cup of tea, you're just a library of resources, Susie. Because the last time we spoke face to face and had a cup of coffee and something to eat, you told me about two books in particular, The Self-Worth Safari by John Nyland and Brené Brown's, Encyclopedia of the Heart. And I've read John Nyland's book, and if he's listening or reaching out today, I'd love to have you on this podcast to speak about that. But what a powerful book in terms of, how we've lost that sense of self-worth and how we've mistaken it for self-esteem.
Oh, absolutely. And as you say, Seamus, it's a wonderful book, and a lot of Brené Brown stuff is that exact thing. It's the human experience. She was a social worker, researcher, all of these, and it was researching shame, because shame, what we don't need is, in her words, what humans don't need in the midst of struggle is this shame for being human.
Absolutely.
We have no place for shame. Stigma is rooted in, shame. And why I volunteer so much in anti-stigma movements, because again, we're saying we're addressing that, and I'm like, are we though? Are we really?
Yeah.
We're aware of it. Are we actually doing it though? Because we're still using language that's deeply stigmatizing. We're still treating people differently. We have so much self-stigma. So there's a massive amount of work still needing done in that field. But the self-worth and self-esteem, I think we're getting very mixed up.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on a self-esteem course, that's great. But ultimately, if you're building it and all the external stuff, what about the inner stuff?
The core
you're worthy
stuff,
of love.
The foundational stuff, yeah.
Yeah. We are all worthy of love and belonging, Seamus. We were born that way. And we're human beings wired for connection, but we lose parts of ourselves, and I think we need to, like John Nyland says, and so many other writers. For me, that's the part that's missing, because we have more talking groups than ever before. We have more training than ever before, and people are still losing their battle with life, and they're still questioning themselves, and it's that part, it's the worth part. I don't know what all the answers are, but I sincerely hope that we start noticing that part more.
Absolutely. And can I say, youmatteralways.co.uk is a wonderful website, and I know it's undergoing some changes and refurbishment at the moment.
Nice one.
Under the watchful gaze of yours and mine, web editor Gary Lynch, who's been absolutely wonderful for me, and I know he's doing similar work for you. Speaking of books, I know I know, and I don't want to put you under any pressure or any sense of revelation, but I know you've got a book
Yeah.
written,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Are we anyway forward in getting that kind of to publish?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of ready. I've got one kind of story really actually of life. Our secret, and that I will go back to and hopefully finish one day. But the other one,
Mm.
the poems, the trauma trials and transformation, or I might change the title, but
I like that.
um
I like that.
that's the kind of front cover I had, and it's a kind of human kind of coming into a butterfly. It's that transformation, but not negating the trauma and the trial. Went through a big court trial with my abuser and stuff, and was found guilty in all accounts. I can't just negate that. It's
No,
happened. It's
part
part
of
of,
you.
yeah, it's part of me. And
Yeah,
um
in the same way, to some sense, I can't negate 7 years of ministerial training for the priesthood that was equally as abusive, you know.
oh, absolutely.
And we can't negate that. It's part of our history, isn't it? It's part of
It
who we
is.
are, Susie.
It is.
It doesn't define us, but
Mhm.
it's part of us, right?
Oh, and that's the thing, Seamus, when we're talking about it, some people like that's the past. Well, no, but it forever remains because it's grief as well. There's
Yeah.
grief for what and you would, it's a forever thing. So trauma recovery is can be a process, and sometimes lifelong. That doesn't mean that there's not joy and there's not greatness and there's not love and all of the opposite of what you experienced. But sometimes it's there because it was so deep, and it can hurt like heck, So
Yeah.
and I think we need to be realistic as well, and the poems are life lessons. It's not just ones that I've come through. It's listening to people. It's working and walking alongside people, and trying to make sense of this world we live in, and propose new ways as such, and the books are all about that, because for me, poetry can help us to understand and appreciate the world we live in, and it does it in
Mm.
a succinct way,
Yeah, it does.
and it connects, and so I am still, I've been looking different publishers, self-publishing, and still a wee bit unsure, but my aim is to absolutely get it published this year.
Yeah,
Um,
my aim for it is to be a bestseller, and you'll know I will work proactively, Susie, to sell it for you
I
in
know.
whatever way is possible. Because your poetry is beautiful, your poetry is amazing, and your poetry touches the heart. It touches my heart, and I know other people who have read it and read it. It touches their hearts too.
And Seamus, one of the, with the poems, one of the things, if it's okay, just to kind of highlight, the wee connection cards. I think I showed you it when we met.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, it's all about connection. And one of the first ones I did was the hope card. Maybe 8 years ago, started working on it, and I recently updated it with a poem in it. There's the poem that's in it is called "There's Always a Reason to Stay," and the connection cards were so important, because it was the first piece in the "You Matter Always" jigsaw,
yeah,
and it came about, from being in hospital myself at that time. Fortunately, to have survived a suicide attempt, and I was given a card just saying "Choose life on your way," sort of thing. And I says, respectfully, I don't want your card. You don't understand suicide. You don't understand trauma. You don't understand pain. So I don't want your card. I'm going to go home now. And I came home and I started making the cards, because I know for me and for others, we need something to connect, something to keep us in this window. You have a window sometimes, and it's like between staying here and not being here.
yeah,
And something visual, something to connect, because as I try and say to people, it's sometimes it can feel like an electric circuit and there's a piece missing. So there's a disconnect. John will say to me, Susie, I tell you this, and my kids tell me this, and I hear what you're saying, but I struggle to feel it sometimes. That's it. It's not on you. It's not on any. It's a piece that was so badly damaged when I was wee that it's repairing, but it won't fully repair.
No.
So the wee card that I have, like, I've got, well, my purse here, one of it's a wee one like this, like you've seen it, and it's it's a wee. This is the hope one, but I have messages. I have pictures like in here of my favourite one of my girls, and my girls have wrote messages behind here, and it's got the poem, and this one's like the hope one, so it's got helpline numbers and things. But for me, if I'm having my struggles, I get that out and I connect to the love, and I connect to these people in my life that have wrote this because that's what they see in me.
Yeah.
And if I negate that, I'm just negating their emotions and their feelings and their words. So it connects me to the love. It connects me to my purpose. It connects me to wee Sue that kept pushing through, sort of thing.
Yeah. And we need these reminders, don't we? It's like you put your reminder on your t-shirt, you put your reminder on a wristband, you put your reminder even wrapped in chocolate, which I absolutely love. And you're a terrible woman because you sent me on loads of chocolate, and I still have loads of it left. So I'm slowly working my way through it.
Mm-hmm.
But we need these reminders, don't we? Because one of the things we do is we tend to forget as human beings, don't we?
We do.
The important stuff, the real important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tend to forget that and focus on the stuff that really doesn't really matter.
It's just stuff.
It's just stuff, isn't it? As you know, Dana Sardano, who I had on the podcast, she just refers to it as information. It's just all information. It's what we want to focus in on. It's where our awareness is that makes the difference.
Absolutely. Self-awareness and is so important, and ultimately, as I said a while back, empowerment resides in the person, not the helper. People, it's we're the ones we've been waiting for. We're the ones that need to remember that we matter, and we can do that in lots of different ways. These are just wee resources to connect to the love, to connect to the hope, to connect to the kindness, to connect to the purpose.
Yeah.
Because suicide prevention starts with connection, whether that's connection to self, connection to the love, connection to the hope, connection to services, connection to, lots of different things. But because we are human beings wired for connection, and connection is so important to our existence, it's the connection part that's so important.
Absolutely. I'm gonna ask you, I suppose, and on my first ever episode, I had Paul Vittles, who is doing tremendous work and bringing the whole awareness to the forefront in a national context of suicide prevention and how much work we all need to do. But part of that work has been making connections with people and making connections with organizations and groups and individuals whose drive, ambition, mission, vision, and value has been on really your message, telling people that they matter, telling people that there's another way, and giving them a little bit of hope along the way. If somebody was listening to this today, Susie, and externally people think that everything is fandabidosi, but internally they're really struggling, and internally they've considered or maybe thought about taking their own life. What would you say to them today?
That they matter, that they're loved, that they are not alone, that there is always someone to talk to. If to stay connected, to remember that who they are matters deeply. And it's not just 3 words, they really do matter. And from someone who has been there and has been fortunate to survive and to remind myself that I mattered and have other people reminding me that I matter, to stay connected, please reach out. Or if you know someone is struggling, or you just have an inkling, because don't discount the gut instinct, it's there for a reason. If you have an inkling, reach in, because we're always encouraging people to reach out. Sometimes we have to reach in.
Yeah, absolutely.
See if that's a note, Seamus. You know, those wee cards were for folk to put pictures in that and write a message and post it through somebody's door, drop it in their pocket, leave it somewhere just for someone to have a nice day. But it doesn't have to be something like that. Do you know, I write wee post-its sometimes for my girls if I felt I wasn't reaching them. Love you, you've got this. Stick it on the back of their door. Do you know, say that at the groups. Write it down. See if you feel that they're not hearing it. Write it down. It'll connect with them in another way.
Yeah.
Do you know? But for people feeling that way, I know it might not feel to them, but there is always a reason to stay. Always.
Absolutely.
Do you know?
Absolutely.
And there is always help available, Seamus. You know, I've phoned the Samaritans, I've phoned Breathing Space. You know, these people are here for a reason. There is no judgment. They have huge hearts and lovely listening ears. And just to get that sense of perspective, it's so important, Seamus, because we matter.
We
And
do.
we're so much more than what's happened to us. And all emotions are temporary, as we know, Seamus. Every single emotion is temporary.
Yeah.
It will pass. It will. But when you're in the thick of it, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like a forever thing. Do you know? So my thing is just to keep reminding people that they truly matter. Always. Always, even when they think that they don't, they absolutely do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Susie. And I hope people hear that message and take that message in, not only in their heads, but into their hearts as well, where it does truly matter, where it does make an impact. Finally, Susie, you're going on tour, I believe.
I am. I am coming to join. Yes, I'm Liverpool. I'm coming. I feel like on the. Yeah, I'm going to join the wonderful Paul and everybody involved in this.
Yeah.
This groundbreaking and amazing gathering of people. This connection. This joining the dots. And I'm going on Sunday to read a couple of poems and to hopefully, you know, meet people and you know, just bring wee goodies and different things just to remind people that they matter and to share the love and the kindness and the compassion, really.
Absolutely. You know, for those who might hear this podcast episode, there's an event happening on Sunday at the Liverpool Arts Bar in Liverpool at 22 Hope Street in Liverpool, of all places. It is a ticketed event. Tickets are limited, really limited to 70 for the morning session, but everybody is welcome to come down to Hope Street at 12:30 on Sunday to join with us, to join with Susie, to join with Paul, to join with the team in an expression, an outpouring of joy, love, compassion, a connection, and hope. To let it sing out and ring out from the streets of Liverpool that suicide prevention starts with connection.
Absolutely.
That people matter always, that you, me, and everybody else matters always, and that there is another way, that there is light, there is hope and there is support at the end of the dark tunnel that you might find yourself at the moment. So if you're there, for those who might hear that podcast, and hopefully this podcast will go out sooner rather than Sunday.
Yeah, hopefully they don't get it on Monday.
Hopefully don't get it. If you get it on Monday, you're too late because the event has happened, right? But even if you miss it, I would earnestly ask you to follow Susie on LinkedIn, connect with her on our website, see the resources that are there, and join Susie in our mission vision together as we collectively, as a nation, as a country, as a community, as a bunch of human beings, just trying to do the best by one another and spread that kindness, spread that love, spread that hope, and spread that light to everybody we come into contact with. Susie, thank you so much for today. You're a true inspiration, Susie, to me.
Thank you.
You keep me going in my days where it does feel lonely, it does feel a struggle, it does feel like sometimes you question yourself if people are getting the message, if the message is actually getting out there. Am I just talking to four bare walls? And to have you and to be able to support you and to be able to walk beside you on this journey is for me a real honor and a privilege, and I'm humbled to call you my friend.
Oh, thank you, Seamus. As I said to you at the time, you know, you reaching in and getting it meant a great deal to me, you know, because I just do my stuff quietly, just get away, get on with it. Just trying to leave wee ripples, and I know it reaches people, and that, as I've said to you, is always the hope. The same on LinkedIn. It's not my most comfortable platform, but I just do Susie on it, and because I know behind every professional is still a person, and a person healing, hurting, loving, losing, all of those things. And if one wee message can reach them and it can help, then that's job done.
Absolutely. Susie, it'll be great to see you on Sunday. It'll be great to see you and
Can't
your hubby
wait.
on Sunday. I'm bringing my little doggy along, so it should be real. It should be a real celebration, a real occasion for joy and hope and love and light, and hopefully what we start and what we'll finish in Liverpool will only be the beginning of a larger story that will continue in the weeks, months, and years ahead. Susie Baines, thank you so much for being on Wellbeing with Seamus this afternoon. It's been a pleasure to have you. I wish you well in terms of your work. I can't wait for your book of poetry to be finally published and to have
Thank
it
you.
in these two hands so I can finally read it.
You'll be the first person, Seamus, well, other than my daughters and my husband, if they want a copy. They're fed up hearing me say it all the time.
In my hands as soon as. And Susie, I wish you well, and be loved, be at peace. You matter always, Susie.
Thank you, Seamus. As do you, and thank you for the space, for the friendship, for yeah, being a fellow little beacon of light.
Ooh, we are. We're little lighthouses, aren't we? As Ellie Palmakas said during the week, and I love the terminology of harbours of hope. We are little harbours of hope for people, and I love that. I love that phrase. So many phrases have come out of the last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
If you just put all the phrases together and publish the book with all those key mission statements and phrases, oh my God, what a book that would be, Susie. What a book that would be.
And you know the wonderful thing, Seamus, because they're phrases from a heart that gets it.
Heartfelt.
You know?
Yeah.
They're not just words, they're words with meaning.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah. Susie, thank you ever so much, and have a wonderful day.
I will do. Take care, Seamus.
Take care, Susie.